Kasi kanina siwan na lusne. Initiate out so travelers so yeah the travelers so British you beginning dress like 7 8 dayo to sa kalacho chiya nalzeo beginning dress so he go de dan Istužvano njeru, sanjale istužne kao i deni transperde sanjale layetado Oriluna na pas isinteresesni. Orilun asi sadune chao chala niye almost sans.
Nechala ni ahul sana. Good evening, sellout ina dlanot adun zinege. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mount a little past, little late. Call it the Dene time isn't otla late in DLC. You know, Indian time ila down Dene Sushline time ulye. And doing zinege Dene Yati podcast must see choner osu. And see Willis Janvier who shin in Taylor's toursing. Clearwater River Dene Nation band member at the SLU. And doing zinnik they see I join you live Treaty 4 territory Oma the Cree Métis Sioux Assiniboine Dakota Lakotas, all beautiful indigenous people. Sa edu hanila da boni edu ya doing zinnik Regina Nati ye he यहाँ से सकना जा da se edusi sweat se nine geson destlu so ja ye hule altane di sakano da se sa birdi do da jao sa tuidi da hulia jan si der covid yeah hey all good stuff. Call doing zinika. I got a guest for you, Layten Byhette Tanila. Sianestano Byhette Nestani. Kola Dene, correct me, Ani Byhette. From my understand, I te nano it's in the Byhette Dinisa. So, Kola Layten Byhette, he is a TikTok Dene Suchlina influencer. I won't say much because he's here with us and he can introduce us. Kola di Dene didit elondala. So I should go out and lose some. Yeah, and Angel Adlanat, say hi, say what's up. You know, say hi to Layten. And we're gonna be chatting with him here in a minute. And didn't introduce Julio Kola the I always encouraged Dennis Ushline just to get out there, no hayat just in anything that the Dennis Ushline boss or Lizzie, if you share it social media, I guess it, then social media only see it but or are na dila. So we need to encourage Dene Goda. Get out there, Dene, that do El Galas do anything. So, alrighty, let's get this going. We'll be live here. Any questions for Layten? Don't be shy to ask. Obviously, Layten does understand a bit of Dene, but I won't be able to converse with him. So, Masi Choner Hosu for joining today. Here he is, the TikTok Auntie of the year. Welcome, Masi Cho, Layten. How you doing?
I am doing well. I'm good. It's a nice day. It's really hot out. Yeah. Stunning. I'm kidding. No, it's good. I'm good.
Do you have
Are we allowed to cuss? Is it an adult audience, or do I have to?
It is. But I try to.
Okay. Keep it professional. Fair enough. All right. Fine.
We're not on TikTok.
No. Yeah. I guess I have to be reminded every time I do a live because I work with a few different people and organizations. You always have to make sure. But I'm good. It's a beautiful day. Aurelien. I think that's
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Aurelien. It's hard. My father was fluent in Dene, but unfortunately didn't pick up on that growing up, and I wasn't really taught, unfortunately. But I know some words, so I think I can pick up on a few things. But yeah,
Cool.
how's your day?
Good. It's a very
Good.
hot day. Yeah, and for any of you joining in here today, maybe we'll get Layten to introduce himself and understand what you do on TikTok. There's comedy and you represent the LGBTQ community and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Can you teach me how to introduce myself in Dene? Just so I know it's correct. Like, hi, my name's Layten Byhette.
See myself. Layten Byhette Houché.
See Layten Byhette Houché.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. Learning every day.
Take it away. Introduce yourself for everybody.
Hi, my name's Layten Byhette. I come from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, right now, Treaty 6 territory. My reserves are Fond du Lac First Nation and Treaty 8 territory, and Buffalo River Dene Nation, Treaty 10 territory. I identify with both. I was raised in both communities at different times, and have family in both of them, so I feel really connected with both of them. And I'm an influencer, stand-up comedian. I've done social media, I've done public speaking, and I've been doing a lot of that stuff over the summer. Right now it's Pride Month, it's June, but it's also Native History Month, which I'm very excited about. It's a really exciting time to be doing things, being Indigenous and stuff, and specifically Dene, Sushlina being that representation, which I don't think there's a lot of, and we need that. We have to have our voices heard too as Dene people. So I'm glad to be a part of that and be a voice for Two-Spirit LGBTQ people as well within our First Nations communities. So that's who I am.
Cool. Good stuff. That's that's a lot of stuff to be doing. And how was it living in the north, the far north? I understand, Dylan. I am from La Loche myself, but what was it like for you growing up in the far north?
Well, we moved around a lot growing up, and when I was in grade 5, that's when we lived in Dillon. That time I really got to be connected with family and got to know everyone a little better, I think, and learn a lot. Obviously, a lot of who I am and what I do on TikTok is influenced directly from my family and the people in my life, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I always have to remind myself to be grateful for that. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, it was really hard being on reserve. There's still a fair bit of homophobia and people who are just not the kindest to people who are different. I'm a light skin Dene, so that's not really taken too easy to. And people found a way to make fun of me and laugh at who I was because it was different. I was different, and I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. Yeah. I guess I was an easy target, but I don't hold that anymore. But it definitely was fundamental in who I am. It taught me a lot. It taught me to be just more outspoken, and to really be okay with myself, because I'm not the only one either. Trust me, there's a lot of people on reserve that are, different like myself, that are queer, that are gay, bi, lesbian, all that. But, the homophobia and the judgment on reserve as well can be hard to be around. But I'm always reminded that family is important, and I wouldn't be here without my family. They're my biggest supporters, and I always know they'll have my back. So I wouldn't be here without them, and I'm glad that they were there for me growing up, and they always accepted me. Maybe some people it took a while, and that's fine too. But And they support me now. They all support me. And like I said, I've lived on both reserves. Most recently, it was Fond du Lac, far north there. It's beautiful. I actually miss the nature as well, being on reserve, living in a city. It just gets so much sometimes. It's just too much happening that to have the nature and to slow down is beautiful. I miss that. I also miss the wild meat, which I just got a little bit care package from my granny Flora. She brought down some dry meat, some agana and dry fish, and still have some moose in the fridge. So I was just, I don't know, I was just like in heaven the past few days with that. I missed it because just like the smells, you're reminded of back home, and it brings you back to that place. So it's been nice to reconnect in that way.
Cool, good
but
stuff.
Growing up is good.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Share some of that again with you there.
Fucking right. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
All good. Just
strike one. Damn
one.
right. Darn right.
Yeah. It's a little different, when I mean, it's okay to swear, but I just like to keep it,
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a lot of good stuff. You talk about mental health and dealing with that as a young person. Did you know you were a two-spirit person at a young age?
I learned the word two-spirit when I was in high school. So I never heard about it until grade 12. And that was 2016, 17. I always knew it was different. I just didn't have like a word for it,
Yeah.
And, learning about it over the years was a good thing. Like, it's always been there. I just didn't have the perfect word to describe it. And then when I heard two-spirit, I still didn't fully understand what it meant. But over the years, I learned the definitions, what it means, traditionally. And that's how I found myself, I think, being a leader, being outspoken, having responsibility for both male, female, masculine, feminine, and being that communicator between the two. So it's something I've always done. I just didn't have that word until then. But once I heard it, I was like, maybe. And then over the past couple of years, I really do now feel confident in identifying with a two-spirit identity. It's it's a historic thing. It's a thing that's been almost buried to the past. Yeah, but traditionally speaking, the roles we have are very important, and it's a lot of responsibility too. But I know it's worth it. It's it's important to be a voice, and it's important to be a leader from your own community. Yeah. So I found it. Actually, a funny story is so in high school, I was living here in Saskatoon for high school, and every week we had a smudge in a circle in, just like one of these after school things.
Yeah.
I went there, and the teacher who was leading it said, okay, well, women sit on this side and men sit on this side in the circle. I don't know what it was, but something in me was just like, all right, well, I'm going to sit right in between the two. So, even back then, I guess there was a part of me. But it's always funny to look back at that memory and think, okay, yeah, it's always been there, and it's just I don't know, it's cool.
It makes sense.
It made sense, yeah. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah. We got a question here. How is spirituality help you in regards to being two-spirited? I know I attend the First Nations University, and we had. I think it's Jack Saddleback. Maybe you know him. He presented to us about all the different terms, and I'm not very educated. I don't really want to get too far into that. But there's so many things to understand when it comes to each, each, what do you call it? Phrase or how you pronoun? Is it pronoun?
Pronouns are just like he, him, she, her, they, them.
Yeah,
so like
or how you identify.
Right.
Yeah.
And people always ask that. They're always, that's just out of respect, and I understand that. But for me, I never really said anything. And I was like, it doesn't matter to me. If anything, it's two-spirit. Honestly, growing up, I've always been mistaken for a girl. So I used to hate it then, but now I'm like, you know what? There's a power to it. there is something cool about it being able to be in between both, and it's important to express both. I think through that lens. And do you want to ask what like two-spirit identity is, or
how has spirituality helped you in regards to being two-spirit?
Right. Okay. It's probably the most important thing. That's really what two-spirit identity is. If anything, it is spirituality. It's the reason we are who we are. It's always taught Creator made us the way we're supposed to be. And there's something very sacred about that, especially with two-spirit identity. You have to be connected in a lot of ways. You have to communicate. You have to have a voice, like I've said. But spirituality specifically, no, it's not for every tribe, but for quite a few, that two-spirit people could be in place for either male or female. And I always found that to be quite interesting. And in terms of spirituality for myself, I wouldn't be as strong if it wasn't for my Indigenous spirituality, smudging and praying to Creator. It helps me maintain a healthy mind. It allows me to know I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes you're going along in life and you don't know what you want to be doing or where you're at, but just like something so simple as smudging and just asking for Creator for guidance and a way forward has literally led me to where I am today.
Yeah.
So it plays a huge part. I was, in the smallest ways too, just saying thank you for this life, even the hard things. Thank you for the lessons, and reminding myself to be grateful. There's little things that are spiritual, and it's not always some huge thing you have to do. It's little things. It's the offerings and community. It's part of everything. Spirituality is part of everything, especially being two-spirit. It's just that connection. So that's the way spirituality has been in my life as a two-spirit person.
Right on. I've heard that without the two-spirit, they couldn't have ceremony because a two-spirit person was able to connect on both sides. Yeah, I heard that. And you talk about I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of mental health. And what was that like for you? I mean, you're a young guy, and growing up different in a community where you weren't accepted. What was that like for you? And it had to have gotten a point where maybe you thought, okay, I'm done with this or something.
Yeah. For me, mental health it's different for everyone. Obviously, there's a lot of struggles we face as, Dene people and overall Indigenous people. If I'll be honest, a lot of the grief or mental health issues I've had was not about being gay, funny enough, or being, two-spirit. It was never really about that. It was more so about intergenerational trauma, lateral violence, just, all these things that affects everyone, and not only me. What I'm saying? Being gay was just another thing.
Yeah.
But really the issues I had were through intergenerational traumas and through lateral violences within community and not being accepted. That's a huge thing. As Indigenous people, community is our lifeblood. It's the way we thrive. It's the way we, heal. It's the way we function. We're nothing without our community. And so when you're isolated from that, or when you're judged from it, of course it's hard. And, I've come to learn as well that it's not always been about me. It's not always been, maybe they're seeing something in me that they don't like about themselves, or maybe they don't like me for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, it was never my responsibility to fix that problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, if people didn't like me, it's not my job to go up to them and be like, hey, like me, I'm a good person. Like, I don't have to do that. I'm just existing, and I'm doing the best I can. And if people don't like that, I can't do nothing to fix it. I think that was probably one of the most important lessons through anything mental health related, is that it's not my responsibility to fix every problem, nor is it my job to make people who dislike me like me, And I think that took a lot of weight off, and then I could just focus on myself. What was I going through? What did I deal with, or what hurt me? I had to process that. And it's a lot of work. It's not easy. The healing journey is painful. It's rough, but it's necessary. You know, been through a lot. You know, we talk about intergenerational traumas and how it doesn't only just affect that person who it's hurt, but it affects the entire community.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to work through on a community level, but at first I think it is an individual level.
Yeah.
For myself, I learned to heal these pains, or at least find the lessons and learn to forgive things, because there was a lot of things put on us, and I had to find a way to make peace with that in myself. Letting go, crying about it. You know, crying is a real simple, effective way to accept that and let it go. And you know, there's a lesson in everything. I find there's a reason why things happen, and we learn from these things so that we can grow, so that we can make ourselves better, so that we can help our communities. So mental health, it's important. It is important to acknowledge. It's important to educate on these issues, because you know, I can guarantee you probably everyone on reservation or even off reservation has a lot of these same thoughts and have a hard time dealing, and a lot of the time it's always because of the judgments and the traumas, and having to not talk about it, I think, is the hardest thing. That's another thing. We have to talk more on a community level, not getting mad at each other for these things, but realizing that there's real pain, you know, and there's a lot of hardships each person has gone through, and we have to, you know, look at each other and just be like, okay, then how do we fix this? How do we come together? How do we help each other? Because realistically, at the end of the day, our communities are the only thing we have, you know, to rely on. So that journey of mental health for every individual, it's important. And I hope if anyone listening right now is dealing with mental health issues, that they can reach out to someone. You know, it's as simple as just talking about it, or, you know, having someone to express that you're going through a rough time. And just that simple communication can do so much. That starts the healing journey too. It's just saying, admitting there's a problem and expressing that pain. And it's okay to do it, you know?
Yeah, those are, that's good stuff, you know. I mean, I like that you're able to speak on these issues just freely, just openly, like it's, you know, and that's what we need. We need it more openly, and people are not afraid to make it comfortable for other people. You know, I want to say that good for you. You know, now that, you know, I process all this stuff. I mean, I'm not sure how old you are, but
21.
Yeah, you know, you're a young guy, and you've you know, pretty much all this turmoil and especially lateral violence you touched on, and you know, you've come out with something good to share with people, and to hear that from a young guy, you know, it's pretty good to, you know, to be a part of it right now. So, you know, Nezu, keep doing all the good stuff. And you know, I want to talk about lateral violence and how it affects us in the north all over. And it's not only, you know, one community, it's all people, and we need to encourage each other so the youth do not see this and we end it, you know. And you spoke about it's an individual thing. Well, hey, you know, if we create these spaces for people to notice these things, maybe we can move forward. If not, you know, what do you think? How do we create that for people?
Like, where to start? You know, so much, so much.
Yeah, especially when there's something you've had to deal with. You know, whether, you know, pretty much you're being different. We won't use the term, you know, that about being part of the two-spirit community and all that stuff, but just being different. How many other people that are not gay or bi are just being different, and they are being bothered by their own people?
It's like, it goes back to that simple phrase of like, hurt people, where, you know, if someone's struggling and they don't know how to express that, it usually turns into harming others, because there's no other way to express it sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's so much to dive into, and I don't know how long we have here, but we could talk for hours about it. I recognize that some things are, I recognize some things were put on us. Like I said, I didn't really mention, but residential schools, the 60s scoop, pass system, all these things that were put on First Nations people. Of course, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain comes from that, a lot of trauma. It's very real.
Yeah.
And I think the thing we haven't really talked about enough is that it didn't just stop there. That pain then went down to the child, then the grandchild, then the great-grandchildren. Yeah. And it's something we have to stop. You know, it's, at least for me, it's always been about fixing things now so that future generations don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's about resolving the issues we have today so that kids in the future have a better world, I guess. And that's always been our responsibility, you know?
Better community.
Exactly. And to stop lateral violence, again, it's that self-healing journey, you know? To take yourself away from that for a moment, that toxic environment, and to go in and find where your answers are. Because only you know your answers, you know? Yeah. Someone else could say whatever they want. They can have their opinions. But realistically, only you yourself know your truth.
Yeah.
So that's your responsibility. It's every individual's responsibility in the community to look at themselves and start working through these issues on a personal level. Because then maybe we can have some healing. Then maybe we can have more collaboration and more support within our communities. I realize there's a lot. There's a lot of lateral violence. There's a lot of miscommunication, mistrust, judgment, and hate towards each other. And that's not who we're supposed to be. And that's how we continue to, I'm not going to say fail, but that's how we continue to, not thrive. Yeah. Is because we're continually fighting. It's the same thing over and over again. It's the same cycle of abuse and judgment that has to stop. Because where are we going? We're, as Dene people, what are we doing if all we're doing is fighting each other or hating on each other? What example does that set for kids that are just being born now? That's what they grow up in and normalize it, and then it's okay to continue. I don't think we're meant to sit here and hate on each other and argue all the time. We're supposed to support each other as a community. We're supposed to, be able to hang out and not start a fight. But I think it's happening slowly. I think as people start to, accept their own pain, accept their own trauma, and heal and talk to others about it, there's growth, and again, it's not easy, and I know how hard it is. And I'm only first generation out of a residential school. Last school closed in 96, and I was born in 99, and it's crazy to think that it's so fresh still. So I don't blame anyone. I understand where there's pain. I understand where it comes from. So I don't blame anyone for having anger or having that hurt, because it's real and it's valid. Yeah. But we have to stop using that and attacking each other and start to figure out a way to talk through this, find a way to heal these pains that we face due to colonialism and intergenerational traumas, so that we can set a better example and have better futures for future generations. Because it's not just about us. It never has been about us. Like we're here for a short amount of time, and we're meant to do the work so that future generations will have a much better life. So I hope people have start their healing journey and have more conversations, better conversations, towards, if not for yourself, it's for future generations,
To heal. Yeah. Nezun kuselot in a dun zinega Dene Yati podcast. Or if you're just tuning in, day, duno halon tatad Layten Byhette, bottom of the Lake Fond du Lac to Buffalo River Dene Nation. It's Treaty 6, halon tatad, I like that. My sister shared with me I'm raising my great grandchildren, and that's kind of the same message you're sending people. How do you want your grandchildren to be like? And towards this whole intergenerational trauma, residential schools, and all that stuff. And I like how you just put it out that we need to end it. We need to end it. Like now, and the whole. Did I lose you? You there?
I'm trying. Are we good now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. My
Okay.
internet's not the greatest.
You're still running on dial-up. But anyways, I was just saying about how we are all connected. It's even though we don't live in the community, we are all connected, and I've spoken about this many a times, how, suicide affects us all. And I'm sure, the discovery of the 215 children affects all of us as a nation, Dene, Cree, all Indigenous people. And we got to look at that and then apply it within our communities. And if we don't help each other, then, your grandchildren are going to have the same discoveries. And how are they going to handle it?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I felt it. Social media. I've done it, and it's all over. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
My experience with it, right? I was very frustrated, honestly, to hear the news, because elders have been saying it for years, and survivors have been saying these stories for years, and only now that there's an expert who dug this up, it's valid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now the world is listening.
Yeah.
And I was mad because I believed from day one the survivors. And only now people are like, okay, yeah, it might be true now that they found evidence. I was frustrated because why did it take this long to get to this point? Yeah. And I know a lot of people felt the same way. And every time it's brought up in media, every time it's brought up in news, it feels a little exploitative because it's like they use it to get views, they use it to get clicks and all that for their ads and stuff. And we all felt it. We all felt something, I'm sure, when that day the news broke. And I was frustrated, I was hurt. And these are people that should have been here.
Mm-hmm.
These were children who could have been the next influencer, who could have been the next leader, the next educator, next everything, and they weren't given that chance.
Yeah.
So I was feeling very emotional that day.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy, and it's never easy every time something hard comes up. And then you go to a news article and you read the hateful comments, the racist comments. It's a lot to deal with. And even on TikTok, every other video was about this. Yeah. And I had to take a moment to step back for a bit and gather myself and figure out what was I going to say, because I know a lot of people are listening. I realize a lot of people are listening to what I have to say.
Yeah.
So I expressed my frustration and I said, if we had just listened from day one, if you had just respected Indigenous people enough, you talk to any Indigenous, First Nations, Native person, like within the first few conversations, you'll hear about residential schools. You'll hear about these hard stories. So it was rough, and I'm sure there's many different reactions to it. I gotta say though, for what it's brought up, it reopens a lot of wounds. I can't imagine survivors today rereading that or being reminded of that experience. I wish, and I think now, but I wish that there was, a place for people to have a conversation about it in each community. I wish there was a gathering to talk about, hey, this is going to hurt people. This has hurt people. Some people are reminded of it now, of that experience. What do we do to fix it? And how do we heal that now?
Yeah.
And I can see from this side of things, you know, specifically, I don't know how much I can say, but with TikTok, it's Native History Month, and there's a lot of efforts being put into education. There's a lot of efforts being put into highlighting Indigenous voices. So I'm very grateful, very, very grateful. It's a good day to be Indigenous, and it's a lot though. It's a lot. There's going to be tears. There's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be a lot of hard conversations, but they need to happen. You know, we have to talk through these things. We have to have this conversation of like, you know what, we make sure this never happens again. We make sure that people are healing from this, because it is a really deep wound and it's still affecting our communities today.
Yeah.
That if we talk about this now, if we fix this now, we'll be better prepared in the future for when it happens again, instead of pretending like it didn't happen, instead of shoving it under the carpet, because that's always been the response I found for a lot of hard things from a lot of people, not just one individual or whatever. But I find that once we have these hard conversations, we're allowed to grieve it, we're allowed to heal from it, and then we're allowed to move forward a little bit lighter and, you know, better for it. And I think there's a better future ahead. You know, I hope there's a better future. And it shows, you know, Native TikTok is really an example of that. There's a lot of Indigenous voices. What other social media has shown us that they cared? You know, what other social media gave us a platform? Specifically a whole month too. Like that's wild. They're like really walking the walk. They're actually like giving us opportunities, paid opportunities to work and have a voice and share and celebrate and share and grieve with us. It's a good time. It's weird because it's like you finally feel you're on like something big. I don't know. It's awesome. So, and I know it goes beyond me. That's what I always remind myself. It's not just about me. It's about my community, because I know a lot of people look to me and be like, "Oh, that's that person." I'm like, "But I'm all a part of you. We're all connected. We're all, you know, we're all family."
Yeah. Na our alianza, you know, and that means it's bigger than you. And you know, my sister told me that when Dene Yati started, and you know what you do on TikTok, you know, it's a lot of good. You've got a fan here joining you. You know, my little sis is a fan of you on TikTok, and but you know, TikTok is your platform. You see a lot of the hate videos, but also lately I have been seeing all the good. You know, many you know, non-indigenous, mostly white people are actually voicing their thoughts. They're admitting they were ignorant to everything, and that it's growing, and it's cool to see, you know. And then there's still the racist comments that, you know, is going to be continuous, because but I think there's a lot of good coming out of it anyways.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ignorance, you know. A lot of the time it's what they were told, it's what they grew up with, and realistically it's not our job to fix racist people. Never has been, you know, and that's never been our goal. You know, we're not out here like trying to, you know, give them educational pamphlets or whatever, because it's almost like too far gone, you know. Like, we can't help that. You don't want to learn, fine. Non-interference, right? Like, you're gonna live your life by all means. But there are a lot of people who are admitting to either not knowing, or again admitting that they didn't want to hear about it because it was hard, you know. And now it's put in their face, and I have seen it personally. And the messages I get ever since this conversation has come out is, you know, I've had conversations with my family. I've talked to my daughter about this, and we've talked about it for a long time. So there's conversations happening at home, you know, and I'm grateful for that. And it's not going to be easy, but like you think about it, like it was never easy. It was never easy. So like, let's not pretend that it is. Let's actually get through it and just chat about it and, you know, heal from it. But yeah, a lot of people's ignorance is realistically, sometimes it's not their fault, because it's the education system that fails them. You know, they don't want to teach about a lot of Native curriculum. And realistically, the only time I heard about Native culture was when I took Native studies. And in history class, they briefly mention it. At least at that time, I know things could be changing now. But sometimes it isn't people's fault for not knowing. But to the ones that choose to ignore, now they're admitting that, hey, like I just didn't want to believe it was real because it sounded so horrific.
Yeah.
But that's a real first step, admitting that there is some guilt there. And that's what you find too. I'm sure you've seen it too, where it's like, oh, all those people that were responsible, it's so long ago, get over it, all that. But it's like, it's not long ago. First of all, those people are still alive.
Yeah.
And it's always trying to put the blame on someone else. Like, why is it, oh, it was that person, it wasn't me? I'm like, a lot of the time I find with, white people, non-Indigenous people, it was always like, well, it's not my fault. I'm like, but there's a reason you're feeling guilty. There's a reason you're feeling guilty, and you don't want to admit that. And that's because you're benefiting off of those systems. Also, you don't want to think about something hard like that. So you'd much rather put the blame on someone else so you don't have to take responsibility, or you don't have to do the work to make sure that our relations are good.
Yeah.
And that's always been our goal from day one. That was what the treaties were for, is so that our communities were connected, our communities would have conversations, that we would have good relations. But that's not been the case.
Yeah.
So who's stepping up to the plate now in order to do that, when we've been doing it for a long time? Like, listen to us. And it hasn't been heard, and usually it's because of that response of, well, it's not my fault. I'm like, doesn't matter. You have a place to play now. You have an ability to support Indigenous people. You choose to support who you want to choose. You choose who you want to support, sorry. And if your mindset is, well, it's not my fault, that just shows how much you really care, Like, if you just want to blame someone else for all the hardships. And I'm glad people are really reanalyzing that mind or that thought process, because it's everyone's responsibility. It's not just one person. It wasn't long ago. It's everyone's responsibility now to fix it. Yeah. Everyone has a voice in this.
Yeah, for sure. And we can't, we like you talk about earlier about within the communities, and stop pointing the fingers at, let's say the white people, and they did this, and we just gotta, I like how you're a good positive example of that, of just overcoming these challenges. And if we can take that and use it ourselves, we move forward as a nation. And those are good stuff to talk about. And another thing I wanted to talk about, and that it's a very deep conversation about racism. And my daughter learns about it. She goes to a Catholic school, and today we were talking about, because I listened to Dene on NBC, so they had someone there that went to a day school.
Yeah.
And I was just sharing her, translating for her, and I could tell she felt that it was not right. And yeah, it was, and I'm not afraid to tell her now. Before, because she's been exposed to it, so, which is a good thing. But I want to get into the humor part of your healing journey, and I understand that you do comedy. Your Auntie persona, I guess you would call it. How has that helped you, as a Bonnie there, as your healing journey?
Well, I remember at a very young age that, the phrase laughter is medicine. It's true. I always think that if we're able to laugh at something, we're able to deal with it. That's like what we tell ourselves, I guess, spiritual, mental level, is like, if you're able to laugh at something or make light of something, you're ready to acknowledge it, or you're ready to heal from it or something. And, that's who we are. That's how we deal with a lot of these pain, is through laughter and through jokes, is to have light in the dark times. I think if we didn't have humor, we wouldn't be here. I really don't, because we wouldn't be happy. Realistically, all the good memories I've always had were always like laughing and joking around with family, and telling jokes. And on a, now for how that's affected my life, I created that Auntie character. It wasn't even planned on. I didn't expect. I'm a drag queen. Like, I have all these wigs back here. I've been performing in drag for a long time on stages, lip syncing and doing live performances. So that's what I thought I was gonna do. I still do it, but I didn't realize Auntie would become my work. And I was doing a TikTok one day because while I was on TikTok, when I first started, I thought I had to do what everyone else was doing, do all the same songs, do all the trends, whatever. And then I saw native TikToks, a community that were just telling jokes, doing, pow dances and all this. And I was like, okay, well, I can be who I want to be here, be like real Resi, be real Indigenous. And it was received well. That was what was spring last year. I was up north in Fond du Lac, and I was just thinking like what to do. And then here my granny had given me this old fur coat. It's faux fur, it's not even real. I put my hair up in a bun because every auntie has a high bun. I put on some shades because they'll wear shades everywhere, bingo, freaking cards, everything. And I just did the thing of being judgmental and talking BS about other people. Which, you always see your auntie looking out the window, Ma, what is he doing? Ever sick? He just thinks he's deadly. I've always seen that. Not from one specific auntie, but all of them. They all have a little bit of that, and I was inspired to do it, and I just did it, and that's what people liked seeing, and that they saw themselves in that. So I was like, okay, maybe we can make something out of it. So that was an unplanned thing to do, but it's been really, really powerful. So it's helped me a lot, and TikTok, through that comedy, like I might have some hard times on a personal level and some struggles, but that just helps me get my mood back up again. Is just throwing my hair up in a bun and telling a few jokes, and people enjoy it, and it's helped me. It helps other people, and it helps me, so it's a real good thing.
Yeah, good stuff. So you've only been doing comedy since COVID hit, pretty much.
Sorry, it just cut out there for a second.
I said you've only been doing comedy since COVID.
Oh, pretty much. So I've always been I guess I've always been funny. I don't know. Auntie Bonnie ever sick? You actually, fun fact, my Auntie Bonnie was the one to inspire one of the videos. I won't say which one, but I'm sure she can go through my videos and see which one is most like her. But but more of a comedic take. But yeah, I've been doing comedy forever. Like, I've been telling jokes forever. I just never thought to do it on TikTok. I don't know why. Why I didn't think to just tell these jokes online. But yeah, ever since I started doing that, I've made a few different series. I've done like the auntie at Hogwarts, or even the uncle at Hogwarts. That was the first big one I had there. And then we take these trends and we just make them native, make them real indige. It was a big part of it, and make it real deadly. And since then I've been able to do a few stand-up comedies on Zoom, of course, because we can't be in person, but hopefully soon after this pandemic's over and done with, I'll be able to go around to different places and do some stand-up. Very grateful to have done that. I've never done stand-up until recently. It's a lot of work, by the way, like writing half an hour of stuff. Takes a couple hours, but it's fun though. It's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, obviously we as Indigenous people, we see stuff within our communities and bring light and fun to it. But where do you get all your stuff? Like, how do you write it? Do you just see the video and then, hey, how can I tweak this a bit and make it into Layten? What is your comedic name?
Okay, like inspiration, it comes from everywhere. I try to, I won't even think about it. Some days I'll be like, a thought will come to my head, and I'm like, okay, grab the coat, put my hair up, and then film it right there. Some of the things aren't even scripted. Like, I'll just press record and say something. If it feels right, then I'll move on to the next thing. So it's usually out of nowhere, but it's always, you know, like the people at home in some way.
Yeah.
Exaggerated, but
Yeah.
it's always inspired by my experiences and also, you know, the aunties. So it comes naturally. I can't even tell you how some of these jokes have come to me. I just think about it and I say it and it works. Really anything. Like you could say, talk about rocks, and I'll write a joke about it. I don't know how, but you know, I just take a situation, make it my own. That's my way of working. Yeah.
Cool. I've always liked comedy, and I always, you know, when we're able to laugh at ourselves, that means we've healed a part of ourselves. And I always, you know, many times I've said a lot of nasty stuff about myself, you know, like I've done drugs off dirty toilet tops and laugh about it, and that's the power in comedy and healing that come together because you're able to do this stuff. And you know, it's a lot of good stuff that you do, Layten. And you know, we've almost reached the hour here of our episode on Dene Yati. Is there anything else you would like to add or talk about, you know, to share with all the aunties, and maybe they can inspire you to do another skit?
All the aunties. Holy. Well, everything has always been about, you know, the reason I create things, the reason I've done the videos I do is to represent the aunties. Because they really were the ones there for me from day one. You know, even when I was different, they still loved me. And that's why I guess that's how I show my love, is through that humor. So they're the reason why I do what I do. So every auntie out there is special to me. They inspire me. I inspire them. It's good. And yeah, I guess like the things I have to say, follow me on social media. It's a very exciting month. It's a really huge time. It feels like a huge change is kind of coming, and I hope there's a lot more representation, and I think we have a better future. And you know, I'm excited, and I'm very excited because there's a way forward, and I think we're getting to that. So that said, I guess thank you for bringing me on, allowing me to be part of your audience, part of your podcast, and sharing with your audience. It's awesome. I know, I will say this too. I know it's very hard, not hard, but the communication between like gay natives like myself and other queer, non-LGBT natives is like, there's not enough dialogue, whether because we think we're so different or worlds apart. Like, we're all the same. You know, we all come from the same community. We have the same humors and stuff. So I think this is a real good way to show that we can chat too. You know, there's conversations to be had. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to come on today and have this conversation. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. Merci cho.
Yeah, merci cho, you know. And I just want to say again, you're doing a lot of good stuff, and you're going to focus on, you know, it's Indigenous History Month or whatever they call it here, but how are you going to promote Dene Tsuut'ina culture? You know, I see that you focus on Indigenous people's, you know, either rights or beliefs, that you share all this stuff, you promote that stuff. But as a Dene Tsuut'ina man, how are you gonna, you know, share your culture and language with other people? What are you gonna be doing?
Oh, are we good? Are we back?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to admit, it's one of those things where I'm still learning. You know, I don't know everything about Dene culture because a lot of it was taken from us, and some things are lost, and some things weren't shared. And I want to learn. I do. I need to learn. I wish I had some more elders to talk to about old stories and our spiritual ceremonial ways, because I don't have enough of that. And that's because that wasn't available to me in my communities, or I just wasn't aware of who had the stories to share. I wish I had someone to talk to about the traditional ways and learn more about it so that I can share what's appropriate. We can't share everything because people take it and profit off of it, but like the things we're allowed to share.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I would like to learn a lot more. Learning Dene Sushina, like I don't know enough. And before I'm old, I hope to be fluent, and I hope to understand our ways. And sometimes it's simple too. I realize that it's not so far gone. Like just being on reserve, you learn a lot about your culture, through learning about it. It's simple. These things are still alive. Traditions are still alive today. So I'm very excited to share what I'm able to. My biggest way of sharing is comedy and through some hard education sometimes. So my platform has always been education and entertainment. So I will always make people laugh. I'll always entertain them, tell a joke, tell a story, but I also need to educate. And everything I learn always goes right to that too.
Yeah.
To my following, to my community, to help support my community and allow us to have a voice. So I would love to learn more about Dene culture. I know caribou, moose meat, dry fish, agane. I haven't been trapping yet. That's why I went hunting.
Yeah.
The simple things. I haven't made it through everything just yet, but I'm willing to learn. I'll be there to learn.
Good stuff. Okay.
Actually, I'll have to go back to the reserve and share it sometime. Like, I don't know, just like I don't really think about it because it's just every day. It's normal for us, but to other people, it's like cool and unique. So maybe I'll have to show like, I don't know, like preparing fish or like skinning rabbits, just to show how we live. That would be. I didn't even really think about that, but I think it'd be kind of cool to show that too.
Yeah, you can do that. Maybe one day we can do an online Layten Byhette comic skit here on Dene Yati. Who knows?
Maybe.
You never know. We can have a paid event. But anyways, I want to say good stuff, Nazu. There's a lot of people out there that will help you. And I want to say, good job. I don't know. I haven't met you, but I'm proud of the things you have accomplished in your young life. Keep on keeping on. As a Dennis Utlinozi. Musty Choner Layton. I will chat with you in a bit. Hey, Salot in a quid. I Layten Byhette de la Jeresh Chechu Fond de Lac. It's the bottom of the lake. Isn't I Fond de Lac. It's in Nohalyan said then I go there, young guy, and then to see another see TikTok and Nohal new and pretty some wise comments made, a lot of struggle, I'm sure, but Saduna, Saduna si dene yadene lila henila. So, many times by LTU we talk about this, Hanene, then you see it, we deal with suicides and a lot of times then bully you kon see just the other day Zinek Esalia was being bullied and see right away I said, okay, which kid? And you never know, don't do then how they're gonna take something. So at the Doyle need at the Vanani deal and other people, I think we'll be okay. Quality let's and he the well, that is it. Doing the yak and 8 days another but or auli la nila no halhul nisi. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's a very good conversation and to address these things without, having fear of what someone is going to say. You know, many people, we need to create those spaces, Dene, you know, and that's it. A lot of times, just like kuntwe basu and drugs basu, when you see mental health, and you know, condemn without condemning. Okay, then they're gonna do it. There's no doubt about it. You know, but you don't know it. Oh, okay, well, hey, you know, what am I gonna do? It's not, it's their shit. You know, I'm gonna deal with mine. And a lot of times over, you know, doing the to look the sobriety base, then I don't need to take on anybody else. You know, see because a lot of times you know, I'm thankful that they're in my life to help me get through this stuff. Because Ayanta has not doing. I'm able to share with you guys. No, Alhon Tati Dao. And it's been a good hour. Masi cho na hosyo and hala the Daniel Herman Gani just checked in. So Balao Leo Masi cho Selotine, and maybe I'll have a new guest here in a couple of days. Got some other stuff lined up, but yeah, I really appreciate you all. Nagani Tani Lat Abani Adieu. So Masi Cho, good night. See Willis Janvier, Hushin in Telas Tourism. Clearwater River Dene Nation band member this and doing get Dogouts in all Huntati Dade. Treaty 4 territory was the home of the Cree. Métis Sioux, Assiniboine, Dakota, all beautiful indigenous people. Good night. You're all beautiful. Dene Sioux, anything, any Cree, any all that stuff. Good night.